Super quick bike update. My new spark plug caps arrived today, so I came out at lunchtime and fitted those. I also added slightly longer rubber hose over the high tension wires just to make sure that really is insulating everything. I just made them about 1.5 inches longer, and this is on. I still need to do the tuning, but I'm going to do that in the weekend. It's raining at the moment, so I can't ride this anyway, but still hanging up. The idle's still not quite right, but it's not missing anymore. Okay, that made it seem like it's not firing on the other side, but it is, because it's getting warm. I think it's now just a mixture thing about getting them balanced correctly. These little boots really stick to the plugs. So I think one cylinder now, the left side is running more than the other side, so it'll just take a little bit of adjusting. I can probably get the carb balancer back on it now and see what's going on there. Definitely both cylinders are firing. Well, they're both warm. But yeah, that's a day for the weekend, a weekend job. Although this weekend there is a swap meet on. It's about an hour, 20 minutes north of here. So I need to decide whether I want to bother going to that. It's after watching Mr. Tweed's film the other day where he visited Bewley and seeing what they've got available there, this one would just be disappointing. But I would like to try and get a paper manual for this motorcycle. When I ordered the online one, they don't do the paper ones with it anymore. It's too old, I guess. But the online manual is a pain in the neck, just the way you have to flick backwards and forwards, and it takes time to load. You can't download it as a PDF or anything. It's literally online. You're using their viewer. I'll have to have a poke around in the website to see if there's a way to actually get the content backed up locally, let's put it that way. But that's on Saturday, and then on Sunday is actually the motorcycle meetup at Southwoods Car Museum. I can't ride the bikes there. I haven't done a ride that far. I'm not that confident yet, but I can drive there and see what's going on. But I think we're getting closer with it again. I keep saying that, and every time I think we are getting one little step closer to having it working. But it does seem to be running a bit better now. Although, yeah, I think it's now just getting the carb balancing right and the mixture right. It's obviously close because it starts. It's pretty easy to start, but more tweaking required. I did fit the new hand grips, and there is a trick for doing this. Maybe everyone knows it. I didn't know it, and it certainly made a difference. But to be able to get the rubber sliding on or off, what you do is you use your air compressor and air gun, and you sort of get it in underneath there and blast air at it. And doing that is enough to expand the rubber, and it'll just come off like easily. I also found because there's holes in the end of this, if you just stick the air gun up in there and give it a blast, this one goes shooting off. So that's how you can get those things on and off easily. It works really well for pushing them back on. You just use the compressed air blowing into it as you slide it over, and it just works. It's quite interesting how that works. But I think that's all I'm going to do for it now. I'm in town tomorrow and the next day, so I won't get much done the next couple of nights. So I think I will just clean up a bit, maybe get some of this bike stuff up on the shelves out of the way, start clearing the space for working on the Riley again. It's the weekend. I'm just playing with the bike before getting on the Riley. I've spent half the day playing on the bike, but I think I finally have it running reasonably well. The carbs still need tweaking, but it's at that point where it runs and it idles. It idles a little high, but when it's warmed up, that seems to drop. I think possibly that's due to the mixture still not being right. What I ended up doing, so it was still cutting out and misfiring, and what I've found is anytime it misfires, the plugs just foul up almost immediately. And then from that point on, you're stuck until you clean the plugs. So that's what's been causing a lot of my problems. Hello, Milo. Did you push your way through the fly screen again? Good boy. So once I realized that was happening, that made it a bit easier. The other thing is I went through and I reset the points gap to make them as big as I could within the range. So the range is 0.3 to 0.4 millimeters, and I found some advice online in a forum that basically said set them to the top of the range, so 0.4. Their explanation was something to do with the way the points open and close on that cam, that you can get overlap between them, and if one coil is firing when the other one is just turning off or on, it sounded like a bit of a strange explanation to me, but setting the gap to that 0.4 definitely has helped. So I've done that, made sure I got the timing exactly right. It took me a while to realize that the points, they're fixed. There's a pivot where the pivot pin goes through a hole in the back plate. So as you adjust the points, it rotates around that pin. You can't move them up and down or sideways or anything. It is just a rotation. When I set the gap, I basically measured where it was at the midpoint on the cam, so that it was at the maximum open position, and set it to that. That seemed to work. My new plug ends seem to be working much better, although one did fall apart when I pulled the plug off. I pulled the lead off, all the innards fell out, so I've stuffed them all back in. I've been riding around the garden quite a few times. The mixture is close. I've pulled the plugs and they look a little bit black, but a little bit rich, but not too bad. And what else? Because I've been riding it around the garden, one thing I discovered when I was doing up the points was my drain plug was coming loose, so I've tightened that up. That was good, I found that. And the other thing is, when it's all warmed up, it's hard to get neutral. So I'm not sure if, I don't think the clutch is dragging, because you can get first and second no problem. Just getting into neutral seems a little bit fiddly. You just go straight past it. But I have realized that my clutch is at the end of its adjustment, the clutch cable. I can't get it any more adjusted than that, and there is some slack in it. There's a bit too much slack up here. That's too much. So new clutch cable, because that is right on the limit. There's no adjustment at this end. I think, yeah, on the brakes there are. On here there's an adjuster. Or is it the other way around? I'll have to pull the boots off to have a look. One of them's got an adjustment and the other one doesn't. So, oh no, this is the one with the adjuster, so maybe I can adjust it a little bit, but maybe I'll get a new choke cable. other than that, yeah, it seems to be running fine now. It should start. Let's see. It's neutral. The idle is still high, but it's running, so I'm leaving it there for now. The other thing that happened when I was doing all of this, I was having trouble setting the points. It's because my battery had gone flat. So had to stop and recharge the battery for a while, and that definitely helped. I was wondering why my spark was getting weaker and weaker and weaker, and that was because of the battery. So I'll probably put that on for a decent charge overnight. But no, it seems like I'm getting much closer now. I'm gonna call this thing nearly done. It's mostly there. Put the side covers back on, buttoned everything up, and I actually took it for a ride over my neighbour's farm, up and down his driveway. It went well. Seems to be going pretty well. Only stalled it a couple of times, but it started up again. It's got a bit of dirt on it now. And when I came back, I did put the carb synchronizer on it, and at least got the idle. They're even now when it's idling. But what I did notice is when you open the throttle, the vacuum doesn't go up the same on both of them, so I don't think they're pulling evenly. But again, I think that's now getting to be tuning the mixture, but I'm not going to touch that at the moment because it is working well enough for me to ride it, and I would rather get some practice riding it, and then I can slowly adjust it over time rather than trying to get it perfect now. I think it kind of needs to be ridden to get that right. Let's start it up. I've got the idle set about 2000, which is a little bit high, but any lower than that and it seems like it might stumble and cut out, so I'm going to leave it high for now. Oops, we have the ignition in the right place. And this is what I mean about once you've fouled the plugs, like if you flood it, you just can't start it. You have to wait a bit. I found to get it to start, I do need to give it a bit of throttle. Yeah, probably flooded it already, which is annoying. But I do find roll starting it works quite well. I just roll it out of the shed in first gear, let out the clutch, and boom, off it goes. So this is the thing, this is what I find is I get it to a good point and then I fiddle with it and I lose that good point. So that's why I don't want to fiddle with it. I turned it off. I think we'll say it's good for now. Good enough. I think it's just shy to start when I'm filming it, because immediately after I stopped filming that last bit, I did what I said about roll starting it, fired straight away. Idling at 1800, 1900. That's okay. Lights work. also fitted little rubber bungs in the holes in the mudguard. There's already a rubber bung there because on the earlier bikes the speedo drives on this side, so there's already a little rubber bung, so those don't look too bad. Yeah, pretty happy with that now. And compared to this thing, this just feels really cumbersome. What I find with the Valicette is the front, all this front end is super heavy, and it feels like when you're going slowly it's just going to pull in because of the weight. I'm not sure about the angle. I think it's got much more rake as well. It's hard to tell, but just so much heavier. And it's also really hard to do slow speed tight maneuvers on it, I find, because the handlebars hit your legs. There's no adjustment or anything here. It's not like these rotate. That's how they are. And so, you know, I've found on this I can do a U-turn on the driveway here easily. It's so easy to maneuver. I can see why they say it's a good learner's bike, because it's nice and light. It's easy to ride, I guess. Based on my vast experience of 3 motorcycles, or well, 4 actually, if you count the one I did my test on, which I got to ride for about an hour. So yeah, I think that one will be much better for learning on. It's, of course, obviously it's much peppier than this. It's like twice the horsepower, and it revs. I mean, it'll rev to 12,000. Not that I've quite got it that far. I don't know quite how high I've managed to get it to rev yet. When I was going up and down the driveway, I wasn't really paying attention. I was just making sure I didn't fall off. But, what I want to do is more lower speed practicing, so I get the hang of the controls, and I figure I'm more likely to fall off at slow speed than high speed unless I hit something, or somebody hits me. So I want to get more practice doing that first and just feel comfortable with how the bike feels. I find just riding around the garden now, I'm much more confident, and you know, I'm not looking where the front wheel's going and things like that anymore. So, you know, I haven't picked up any of those bad habits early on. Yeah, I think next time I do any filming or anything of this, it should be an actual trip somewhere. If I can remember where I've put all my GoPro mounting bits and pieces, so I can actually attach the camera to it. And just for a laugh, I thought I'd get them all going. And they all do run. This one is running by itself. Hard to tell which one's quieter between the Valicette and the Honda. I did ride this around the garden and it didn't feel too underpowered actually. It does at idle, and then getting up to that first little bit of speed, then it's not too bad, but then it tops out really quickly, of course. And of course, because I wasn't filming the Honda, it kicked first time. I did discover when I rode this around the garden, I went to stop and automatically used my right foot for the brake, which on this it isn't, it's the other side. The hand gear change isn't too much of a problem though. This is nice. The other thing I found is on this, it's like the foot peg and the gear shifter is just too far apart for me. You know, I can barely operate it. So as far as I know, this is original. I guess that's just how they are. It might be the nature of it being a trials bike, that they have it further apart. I don't really know, but no, this runs as well. But yeah, got too many motorbikes.